So the final video in this module on placemaking, which I've subtitled Culture, Power, Nature, and Identity in the Modern Village, to kind of review the journey that we've been through together. And, placemaking to me is a very deeply personal thing. And even though I had brought in some mostly Western thought, I combined it with my own experiences because that's where you see the richer tapestry of knowledges and perspectives weaving in. Because I've worked with Native people, and India is a subcontinent and it's so diverse and there's so many different kinds of people. And I think that there's an inner wisdom in each of us that gets snuffed out or gets insecure and doesn't really have the conditions to thrive. And so to me, placemaking is most importantly perhaps the journey of us finding our place, our way of contributing to the larger magnificence of what makes this planet Earth such an incredible place to be on and be with. And so that's why I took that approach. And what has helped me so much is seeing things in a way that moves away from locking things into static categories or static states, but rather to see things as flowing. And it's just that snapshot when I take to kind of take it in, it's a snapshot, but the story is still unfolding, right? And so that's why I love a process-based approach to understanding power and the way that it works, back to Foucault and the fact that he talked about it existing within relationships rather than the older theorists who were talking about it being within institutions and with individuals. Like it's that dynamic interplay. And I love the way that he's kind of focused our energy on that. And then the same for nature and our understanding of what are we restoring to, what's the model, and what behaviors and management practices therefore are we emulating. And if we think that we're this was back in the 1900s, that's inaccurate. Plus, if we were seeing things through Eurocentric perspectives, then we didn't acknowledge or even perceive Native people's management with the land. And so, looking at all of that with a more dynamic equilibrium perspective brings about just that complexity of things in flux. And also, that not so much that we're going back to a point in time, but rather we're trying to create the conditions for a resilient community of beings, and that includes us. It doesn't exclude humans from the web of life. We have a role. We have a role and a responsibility. And then moving on to culture, just that there's so much complexity and nuance in what I deem American or Indian is not, may overlap, but doesn't entirely encompass what you view and interpret as being Indian and American, and so on and so forth. Like I have my interpretations of the environmental movement, and you may have your own. And culture is again in process. It's our, and it comes to life through us, through our behaviors, through our patterns, and those kinds of things. It's not just existing out there and regulated by whether it's the political culture or the consumer culture, whatever it is. Like, we have a certain degree of agency in scripting it as much as the economy does in selling a way of life, and defining it. And, the same goes for identity, just a dynamic process of, you know, us choosing certain things and patterns and affiliations based on our goals, and then also certain identities being put upon us that we may or may not agree with. And it's this dynamic interplay between what emerges from within us and what is put on us, and it's the magic, I think, is in between those things. And so for me, for moving forward with permaculture and with placemaking, I feel like, I wish for you that your practice has an awareness of what unique gifts you have to bring to this, and then what your wounding is and how you transmute that into healing, and also just what does that mean for a greater sense of justice for all, most importantly, for yourself, for the invisible, for for the voiceless, for the more marginalized of various kinds. Like, how do you leverage your privilege and leverage your power and your gifts, and find your place within this all? That's what I wish for you. A beautiful journey. Thank you so much.